Hey every pony! Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm super excited to share with you 11 amazing My Little Pony fan stories, each one unique and full of adventure. All the talented creators' socials are linked in the description, so don't forget to check them out and show some love. Let's dive into these magical tales together. For 3 to 6 days, the victim's exhaustion deepens. Their movements slow, their speech slurs, yet sleep never comes. Dark circles stain their eyes, but their body remains eerily unchanged. Whispers link the curse to moan magic, but no one knows its origin. The afflicted merely stare, hollow-eyed, as their strength fades. Suddenly, they become unnaturally energetic. Laughter spills from their lips, their words rapid and disjointed. They avoid sleep, their eyes twitching under bright light. Restlessness consumes them. They pace endlessly, their body still normal, but their mind is unraveling. The clock ticks toward the next stage. By days 5 to 10, blood trickles from their nose. Their magic surges, but their sanity crumbles. They refuse food, starving yet brimming with manic energy. Hallucinations twist their vision, they rant about dreams they must avoid. Their body withers, but their power grows, a terrible trade. Black vomit spills onto the floor. Their obsession with the moan turns violent. They preach, demanding others join their path. Their body rots from within, yet they move, relentless. Hallucinations consume them. The final stage loans, what remains is no longer human. Limbs bend at impossible angles. They screech, their voice inhuman. Sunlight burns them, they hunt only at night. Some grow taller, their hair wild. Unicorns in this state are lethal, their magic uncontrollable. Conscious or not, they are monsters, and the curse spreads. The kingdom was silent, its golden halls now shadowed by an unseen terror. Princess Celestia stood untouched, her health perfect, her mind clear. Yet her actions grew erratic. She barred all exits, convinced of her righteousness. When twilight arrived to help, panic erupted. The virus had breached the castle, the first scream echoed. Princess Lona's eyes darted, her health fading. Stress gnawed at her, hunger clawing her insides. She never slept, her feverish whispers lost to the dark. She smuggled secrets past the cameras, her faith shattered. Desperate, she reached for Celestia, but her pleas were silenced. The forest beckoned, its freedom a cruel illusion. Cadence was missing. When she returned, her horn was cracked, her body wasting. Flesh devoured itself, leaving gaping holes. Delirium gripped her as she tied rags around her neck, a futile shield. The marks on her skin pulsed, LTM, Grimace Retour. She vanished again, her drool staining the quarantine floor. Twilight's jaw tore open, skin splitting under the strain. Her wings, once proud, hung in tatters. Infection rotted her mind, her sanity crumbling. She had sought a cure but became the horror. Her insides writhed, gears grinding unseen. The ever-free forest loaned, its shadow swallowing her final, guttural scream. The castle halls dripped with silence. Celestia's decree held, her denial unshaken. Luna's fevered steps faded. Cadence's hollow laughter echoed nowhere. Twilight's remains twitched, a puppet of the virus. The kingdom's heart had stopped. Only the marks remained, LEM, MGRW 18 or 12 or, scrawled in blood, the final testament. The abandoned asylum stood silent, its walls whispering forgotten names. Inside, the word cowl was scratched into the floor, glowing faintly under moonlight. No one knew what it meant, but those who read it vanished, leaving only echoes of their screams behind. The mirror reflected the same face 4 times. Each reflection blinked out of sync. The girl stepped closer, her breath fogging the glass. The reflection smiled, then lunged, their hands breaking through the mirror to drag her in. The figure in white watched from the shadows, its porcelain skin flawless. "You always make me feel so dirty," it whispered, touching the victim's cheek. The skin beneath its fingers rotted instantly, spreading decay like a curse from the grave. Laughter echoed as the man stumbled into the bathroom. "Rinse Remo," the voice taunted. The faucets turned on, spewing black liquid. Hands erupted from the drain, grabbing his ankles. The coffee-stained sink grinned as the water rose, filling his lungs. The bathwater was ice cold, but he couldn't move. Shadows pooled around him, forming skeletal fingers that scrubbed his skin raw. "You just need a bath," the voice cooed. The water turned red as his flesh sloughed off, bone by bone. The parasite's invasion began subtly. Its host's vibrant colors drained away, leaving a pale, lifeless shell. Their body grew icy, sapped of warmth. Fatigue weighed them down like chains. Emotions spiraled, sadness, fear, and desperation consumed them, their screams silent but their eyes pleading for mercy as the horror took root. Colorless and broken, the host's heart became the parasite's core. A strange substance oozed from the chest, transforming their skin into something alien. Their cries for help turned to agonized wails. Pain drove them to claw at their own heart, hastening the transformation. Panic spread like wildfire, but no escape existed. The substance devoured everything non-organic: clothes, jewelry, all remnants of humanity melted away. It pulsed with a grotesque life, its surface seething. To touch it was to invite doom. The infected became walking hazards, their very presence a warning. Don't help. Don't get close. The parasite demanded isolation. Consciousness remained, trapped in a body no longer theirs. The goo burned like acid, yet they begged for salvation with unending tears. It mimicked humanity, luring would-be rescuers. Its eyes, once windows to the soul, now gleamed with hunger. A whisper escaped their lips, "Sister," but the thing smiling back was no longer family. Twilight Sparkle awoke in the dark woods, her head pounding. A year had passed since the infection ravaged Ponyville, but her memories were shattered. The last thing she recalled was Rainbow Dash's scream. Now, whispers of what happened to her friends slithered through the trees, and Twilight knew she wasn't alone. Fluttershy sat by Rainbow Dash's decaying body in Pinky's basement, her hooves trembling. Discord was gone, the princesses vanished, and Angel's fake eye patch did little to mask the terror in his eyes. The air reeked of forced nicotine and despair, a cruel reminder that Ponyville would never be the same. Applejack carried Apple Bloom strapped to her back, her red scarf a grim symbol of the commune's rule. She demanded loyalty, and those who refused disappeared. Rarity called the scarves unsightly, but Applejack didn't care. Safety came at any cost, even if it meant staining her hooves with blood. Rainbow Dash's corpse lay motionless, her bones dissolving into black ooze. Applejack's bullet had spared her from the infection, but the spores still spread. Skittaloo's sobs echoed in the distance. The heroes were gone, and the only thing left was the relentless bleed of the undead. Pinkie Pie grinned as her anarchist group plotted in the shadows. Her basement held more than just Rainbow Dash, other guests rested there too. The infection didn't faze her, madness had already taken root. The woods whispered her name, and Ponyville's survivors knew she was no longer their friend. Rarity clung to Sweetie Belle, her pristine coat now filthy. The commune's barriers were her prison, and the outside world a forgotten nightmare. She stitched clothes by day, ignoring the screams beyond the walls. But at night, she wondered, was Pinkie watching? The thought made her shiver. The air reeked of iron as the first signs appeared, unnatural growths, twisted limbs, and blood seeping from cracks in the skin. The infection of more was relentless. Victims whispered of body horror, their pleas drowned by the squelch of flesh reforming. Warnings were ignored until it was too late. The curse had already taken root. Empty streets stretched under a pale moon. The infected were hiding, mutating. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. A faint dripping echoed, but no source was found. The silence was worse than the screams. Something was watching, waiting. The infection worked in the quiet, twisting life into something unrecognizable. Horns erupted from skulls in jagged clusters, piercing brains as magic surged. The unicorn's eyes glazed over, their minds unraveling. Paranoia drove them to violence, their once graceful forms now stumbling horrors. When the horns consumed their heads entirely, they collapsed, lifeless. The cure was a lie. There was no fixing this. Wings grew uncontrollably, bones snapping under their weight. Pegasi flew until their bodies gave out, only to rise again mindless. Exhaustion turned them into reckless missiles, crashing into walls, trees, anything. Limbs fell off mid-flight, those still airborne dive-bombed, leaving their hollow eyes devoid of reason. Earth ponies melted into the ground, their bodies seeping into the soil like liquid. Infected bites spread the curse, creating grotesque gardens of flesh and roots. The earth itself seemed to hunger, pulling them under. One by one they vanished, absorbed. The infection left no survivors, only silence and the scent of decay. The scratch burned like fire. Jake stared at the bloody mark on his arm, his breath shallow. The wound pulsed, veins darkening. A cold sweat dripped down his neck. He stumbled, vision blurring. The room spun. "Just infected," he whispered, clutching his arm. The pain grew. Shadows twisted. Something was inside him now. Stage 1 began silently. Jake's skin paled, his nails blackened. Hunger gnawed at him, not for food, but for something raw. His reflection showed hollow eyes, a twisted grin. He tore at his clothes, skin itching. The mirror cracked. His heartbeat echoed, too slow. The change was unstoppable. He was no longer human. Stage 2 was agony. Jake's bones cracked, reshaping. His screams turned to guttural growls. Fingers lengthened into claws. "Oh no," he tried to say, but only a snarl escaped. His mind fragmented. The last human thought faded, run, but it was too late. The thing in the mirror wasn't Jake anymore. Stage 3 was hunger. The creature lurched forward, drooling. It smelled flesh, warm, alive. Bites, it hissed. A neighbor knocked, unaware. Stay back, it tried to warn, but the words were garbled. The door splintered. Screams filled the hall. Blood painted the walls. The creature feasted, its humanity gone. Stage 4 was decay. The creature's skin peeled, revealing rotting muscle. Gross, a victim shrieked before silence. It moved stiffly, leaving trails of filth. Flies swarmed. Its eyes yellowed, vision sharpening for prey. The hunger was endless. It forgot its name, its past. Only the hunt remained. Stage 5 was the end. The creature stood motionless, its body withered. No eating, it rasped, teeth falling out. It crumbled to dust, the curse fulfilled. The wind carried its last whisper, "Don't touch." A new scratch glistened on a passerby's hand. The cycle began again. The town of Starlight was once peaceful until the arrival of Trixie, a mysterious figure with glowing eyes. Whispers spread about her cursed magic shows, where volunteers vanished without a trace. The air grew thick with dread whenever her name was spoken. Pinkie Pie's laughter turned to screams when she discovered the spores in her basement. The fumble growths pulsed like living things twisting into shapes of faces. Her friends found her days later, her smile frozen in terror, her body covered in tendrils. Rainbow Dash's wings snapped mid-flight as an unseen force dragged her into the forest. Her multicolored trail darkened to black, staining the sky. The trees whispered her name, their branches clawing at the earth where she'd fallen. The clicker's screech echoed through the abandoned school. Its blind eyes twitched toward the sound of breathing. Today's lesson, survival. The students' desks were empty, but their backpacks remained filled with teeth and shattered glasses. Fluttershy's animals turned against her, their eyes glowing red. Her cottage walls dripped with honey-thick blood as she barricaded herself inside. The creatures outside chanted her name, their voices merging into one inhuman wail. Roddy's neon sign flickered above the ruined nightclub. Inside, mannequins with too many limbs danced to silent music. A shadowy figure walked from the stage, its grin stretching impossibly wide. The door locked itself behind the last visitor. Applejack's farm was overgrown with thorn vines that pulsed like veins. The scarecrows wore her family's faces, their stitched mouths screaming. Harvest season had come, but the apples were rotten, their cores riddling with black worms. The sun hummed low over Equestria, but its light fell wrong, tainted. A mysterious infection spread, leaving no pony untouched. Cheerily, a brave teacher, was bitten while protecting her students. The mark on her skin pulsed faintly, though no symptoms appeared yet. The air grew heavy with dread. Days passed, and Cheerily's condition worsened. A headache clawed at her mind, and drool dripped uncontrollably from her mouth. Her body burned with fever, sweat drenching her coat. Ulcers erupted near the bite mark, and her nose bled. Nausea twisted her stomach. Her anger erupted without warning. The slightest provocation sent her into a rage, eyes wild and teeth bared. The infection consumed her mind, twisting kindness into fury. Her students' faces blurred in her memory, replaced by a gnawing hunger for violence. The advanced stages were horrifying. Her skin darkened, hair fell out in clumps, and her eyes lost all color. Ulcers covered her body, leaking a strange, glowing liquid. Inside, her magic boiled, tearing her apart. The infection turned her own power against her, a cruel betrayal. Princess Celestia, the supposed origin of the sun infection, remained locked in her bedroom. Canterlot was overrun, its streets filled with infected ponies. No one could reach her. Luna's last report described Celestia as a giant orb of light, no longer a pony. The mystery deepened. Princess Luna lay in a coma, her magic drained. She had tried to contact Celestia in dreams but never returned. Dr. Redheart and Twilight called it a magical coma. Whatever afflicted Celestia was stealing Luna's power too. The sisters were slipping away, and hope faded. Twilight Sparkle, immune due to her element of harmony, worked tirelessly for a cure. Spike, unharmed, became the communication lifeline. Tempest Shadow, Twilight's bodyguard, stood vigilant but sleepless. The weight of survival pressed on them all, their exhaustion a silent enemy. Rarity, though immune, bore scars from rescuing her sister. She sewed protective gear for survivors, her hands steady despite the fear. Pinkie Pie, blind in one eye, relied on her pinky sense to warn others. Her cannon, now a weapon, stood ready. Ponyville's shelter trembled under the threat. Discord, immune as the Lord of Chaos, could do little to stop the infection. Fluttershy used her tracking skills to guide survivors through the wild. The team moved like shadows, avoiding the infected. The forest, once peaceful, now hid unspeakable horrors. Rainbow Dash scouted from above, her panoramic vision spotting dangers. Applejack led the resource team, her strength unwavering. Mud caked her hose as she ran, food supplies clutched tight. The survivors clung to each other, knowing the infection lurked everywhere, waiting. The blood sample showed an anomaly, 3 identical temperature readings of 0.5 degrees Celsius, defying logic. The lab technician recoiled as the vial trembled, its contents bubbling unnaturally. Shadows flickered, and a faint whisper echoed, "It's already inside." The infection had begun, silent and undetectable. Spook sat alone, his mind fractured by grief. Faminever's presence offered no comfort, Twilight's death haunted him. Nearby, Big Mac marched toward Zekar's hut, his steps heavy with dread. Both were uninfected, but the air thickened with the imposter's hunger. Granny Smith stared blankly at the barn walls, her memories slipping like sand. Winona whimpered beside her, sensing the danger outside. Applejack had locked them here for safety, but the barn's wooden beams creaked ominously. Something scratched at the door. Restraints only angered the imposter. A captured host writhed as its mutated limbs twisted violently, bones snapping under accelerated growth. The creature hissed, its new form emerging prematurely, a grotesque fusion of flesh and terror. Escape was impossible. Decapitation wasn't the answer. The imposter's head regenerated, its severed limbs twitching back to life. The host gasped, blood gushing from their neck, as the parasite's second head sprouted, grinning. Death was inevitable, but the imposter thrived. The Eden mutation festered within, duplicating organs and rewriting bones. By stage 4, the host's skin stretched taut over the monstrosity beneath. No cure existed, only the agonizing wait for the final mold. The imposter always won. The wind howled through the abandoned orchards as Applejack stood guard, her scarf fluttering. The undead lurked beyond the settlement walls, their moans echoing. Her sanity wavered, but she clenched her yoke, scars burning with memories of battles fought. The ponies relied on her, and she would let nothing, living or dead, break through. Big Mac's muscles strained as he rammed another shambling corpse, its teeth snapping at his yoke. The scar on his flank throbbed, a reminder of the unicorn that nearly tore him apart. He stood firm, a silent shield for the helpless, his strength the only thing between them and the horde. Rainbow Dash leaped across rooftops, her wings useless now. The infection drained her magic, leaving her grounded. A scar marred her wing, a trophy from the outbreak's early days. She moved silently, avoiding the undead's gaze, but the sky's absence haunted her. She missed the wind beneath her feathers. Troll Shoes stumbled through the ruins, Sweetie Belle close behind. His hat bore a hole from an undead's attack, his luck as terrible as ever. Yet, his clumsiness saved him more than once. He glanced at the filly, determined to find her sister, even if the world was crumbling around them. Applebloom bit her lip, the hidden bite on her leg burning. She smiled at Scootaloo, pretending nothing was wrong. The scarf around her neck smelled of Granny Smith, a comfort she clung to. But as night fell, she trembled, wondering how long she had before the infection took her. Scootaloo tightened the bandage on her head wound, her eyes fixed on Applebloom. She refused to show fear, even as the undead scratched at the walls. Rainbow Dash's courage inspired her, but the silence between them screamed of unspoken dread. She wouldn't let her friend face the darkness alone. Sweetie Belle limped forward, her leg scar aching. Rarity's ruined scarf was a painful reminder of her failure. Trollsh's presence was a comfort, but the undead's whispers followed them. She clutched the tattered photo of her sister, praying they'd find her before the horde did. And that's it for today, every pony. A huge thank you to all the amazing creators behind these stories. Don't forget to check their links in the description.